Frank, there's this another interesting guy that you spent time incarcerated with, a guy who, after becoming incarcerated in the 1980s, he decides that he is going to join the Aryan Brotherhood. According to a witness at the time, the reason why he was able to get into the Brotherhood, according to this witness, was a stabbing of a corrections officer, which he apparently did in the late 1980s, and that is reported to be his entrance into that organization. He would spend the early 90s doing more work, stabbing other people. He would actually stab a defense attorney. He would stab another individual in prison, and before you know it, this gentleman would get a sentence of life in prison, man. We're talking about Paul Cornfed Schneider.
Yeah, Cornfed. I all right. So I meet Cornfed in my second facility I go to, but before meeting him, I'm talking to Sammy, the bull again. And he's become a topic of a couple of our shows, right? So Sammy's telling me about this guy he meets at the ADX, and he's huge, and nobody wants to go in. So they have rec times. After they come out, they go out there for about an hour or two when they're locked up in segregation. Um, I don't know what phase he was in at that point. In the ADX, they go through phases. You go obviously through the 23-hour lockup, and then you go to 16 hours, and then something like that. And then they go like to 12. But I didn't know what phase they were in. So Sammy says they approach me and they go, "Hey, look, there's another guy out there. You can't go to the yard unless, we need like two or three of yous out there. And, his name is Cornfed Paul, whatever. And are you willing to have him come out with you?" And Sam's like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, why not? I don't care. I mean, whatever." So Sammy tells the story. This guy comes out like a fucking, and the closer he gets to him, the bigger he is. Huge. And he grabs him by the head and he kisses him in the head. And he goes, "Thanks, man. You just, I needed a little air and all." And he goes, "This guy was humongous. This Sammy telling you big. I mean, this guy, you could tell he could tear people's heads off with one shot, whatever. I mean, he had me thinking this guy was the ultimate warrior. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Some fucking wrestling. And I'll get to him. I mean, he wasn't far off, but the demeanor, which threw me off when I eventually meet him. So anyhow, I go to my second facility in the Midwest, and I'm talking to an inmate, and we're talking about who were you in New York with? Well, I said I was with this guy. I was with Sammy. Sammy was in the ADX. He always talked about this, and he did talk about. He was he talked to him like it was a dear friend of his. This Cornfed. They spend a lot of time together. They would play chess. They would hang out, whatever. And when they used to come out in the yard in the ADX. So the guy goes, "Well, he's here." I go, "Oh, Cornfed, the myth, the legend." He goes, "Yeah, he's downstairs." I said, "All right, you want to meet him?" I said, "Sure." So I go over there. He goes, "Hey, Paul." He goes, "This is Frankie. He's friends with Sammy." And I go, "Hey, what's up?" And he goes, "Hey, buddy, how you doing?" And he's like really nice and everything. But he's big. He's big. No, that's no joke. He's a big guy. He goes, "How are you? Nice to meet you," and all that kind of stuff. I thought this guy was like deep in the ADX. They just had let him go. He was probably in the Midwest for probably about 3 months, and they that was part of his deal. When he flipped, they told him they'd put him in a better place and working on his case, like as far as letting him go. He had a state case, and California and the feds at one time didn't really um, they didn't agree to disagree, if you will. So he was there on a life sentence, which is you get that sometimes in some of these units, just to be in a better atmosphere. You know what I mean? He liked to paint, and he couldn't do that like he could at this place we were in. And he used the exercise yard, and he was a very big guy, but a nice guy. But the history behind him, I would later learn, and he wouldn't really talk about. He wasn't a bolsterous type. He was a nice guy. Good morning. He had like this new lease on life. He'd have his cup of coffee. He'd go by the yard where we're at, and he would start to paint and whatever. But people did know that when you're around people like this, that you got to watch out because you're going home one day and they're not. So I was friends with him, so I had no problem thinking that way. But people, they didn't step out of line with him because if he blew, he blew, and he had the reputation. There was a story of, and this came out to be factual. Actually, he was in the hole when he was in regular population. He'd gotten in trouble, so he was in segregation in the California system, where a lot of these correction officers they kind of identify with some of these ABers. Either they know each other or their families do. So they're in cahoots. Kind of like the correction officers with the Italians in the Northeast. And there was
Right.
this black inmate that kept on talking shit while they were both in a cell, separated. He was calling them, he's telling them, your mother's this, your mother's that, I'll fuck you up. He was calling him a bitch. And this went on for like 2 days straight. So one of the correction officers just couldn't take enough. So he handcuffs this black inmate and he lets Cornfed out of his and he leaves the guy's a cell open and he lets Cornfed out.
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not funny. I mean, he killed the guy, he punched him to death, fucked him up, and that was another one. So he was the real deal when it came to prison. Yeah, I mean, in prison to be that guy. I mean, that guy that fucking people fit. That's survival of the fittest. It's not the street. It's another game. You understand what I mean?
Yeah, of
I
course.
see
I mean,
real apparent, tough guys on the street go to jail and just drop a couple of notches. To be that guy, you got to be consistent too. And he had the reputation. He just
but
didn't
his
want to be locked.
reputation is, listen, he was a guy who was in prison in the 80s who, you know, didn't have a life sentence or anything like that. I mean,
Right?
but,
No,
he
no,
decides that, I don't know if he had, would you say 10 or 11 years, but he
yes.
decides at some point, all right, I guess I'm gonna. I mean, I guess from what it looks like, I guess I'm gonna make a career out of this. He gets into the AB by apparently stabbing a corrections officer. He goes on to stab another guy later. Then he stabs a defense attorney. Then he's got other bodies while incarcerated. This is the extent of this guy's violence and criminal career. Is like all while he's incarcerated, almost. Kind
Yes.
of, and you hear that a lot when I see like these interviews with these AB guys, where it's like they go in for one thing, and before you know it, they're lifers with multiple bodies. It's a bizarre career path, to say the least.
Yeah, and ABers, if you ever came across them, they're a unique group. They're not that many, but they have a lot of tentacles, like other groups that are affiliated with them, especially like the Nazi lowriders, in the California
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
system. That's one that's associated also with. There's all these branches of the Aryan Brotherhood, but there's only that group, and the one with the Shamrock and that it's like guys that have made into that group. I don't know how many there were. I heard somewhere there was like 40, and
Yeah, I
then
was gonna say I heard there's like 40 something or something like that. Yeah,
right,
not a lot.
right. They have a doctrine that they have written. They don't come off racist, the ones I knew, but they keep that within themselves. Obviously, they are, but they don't come off it. They're not like guys with the swastika screaming white power in jail. They don't get along with bikers, believe it or not. They think they're sloppy and they're drug addicts, and they they
Okay, okay.
they don't. They were very unique bunch. I ran into like 5 or 6 of them while I was incarcerated. There was ones that are okay. There were ones I like, and he was one of them I like, and the ones I really didn't like. I mean, there's not much to like. That's how they comported themselves. I mean, they had the jail system in such an array, just fucking going crazy that when these guys used to go to trial, like in California, they used to lock up the guys in the units
Yeah.
for about 3 days or 4 days. You know why? Because they used to put this manifesto out, or they used to holler at the system that if you kill a guy that's about to go testify, they'll give you a pass. They ain't gonna bother you no more. You could come
Wow.
back in,
Yeah.
and that. So they used to lock these guys like Cornfed up. I go, where you going? He goes, in the hole. There's another fucking trial. I got nothing to do with this either. And they used to lock up all the A beers in the units when there was big trials going on in the hole.
Yeah, it seems like you only get into that by doing something extremely violent that's going to jeopardize the rest of your life. That's essentially how you get into something like that, from what I could tell. Coming in contact. First question, actually, do you recall the extent of his cooperation where he got out of ADX so we can get a little bit of more freedom? Do you recall the
Mhm.
extent of what the government wanted from him?
Yeah, he testified in those big trials against his big guys. Um, that's what they wanted. Those trials that were going on in California, and where they just threw the whole fucking bunch in the ADX, the ones that were didn't cooperate.
Yeah, there was a lot of shit. I mean, they were running drug operations from inside prison. They were doing a bunch of shit, these guys, right?
Yeah, that's what a lot of these guys didn't have family on the outside. A lot of these guys, when they got in there, were really fucked up, either drugs or whatnot. When they got in there, they started commiserating because of the fact that they were the only white guys there. Either they were getting fucking picked on, and they grouped on. They became a group. That's how they began, and then from there they became, um, you know, hit first, ask questions later. They weren't taking no shit. A little bit too dramatic, but that's who they were. I mean, when you go on a bus, they're the ones first to go on. They make it a point. And when they go on, everybody waits in the back, because they're just on a different channel. Some of them just can't stay out of jail. When they go back out after a while, they just can't cope, and they go back in right away.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
So,
go ahead.
so how was it being around this guy though? Like we said before, he's got this crazy reputation. Talk about his demeanor. The only person I've seen talk about this, Sammy the Bull, he's put up some stories talking about Cornfed, this and that, as far as people who knew him. If there's anyone else
Mhm.
out there, I must have missed it. But what was your relationship with him, and what was his broader relationship with everyone else? Did he get along with everyone, or were most people scared of him?
Well, they walked on eggshells around him. Like I said, some of us are going home, but he didn't give you no reason to be scared. He'd say hi to everybody. He was okay with everyone. Nobody got stupid with him. Um, but he don't go looking for trouble either. I told you, he picked a spot on the side. He would do his paintings and everything. Later, Sammy would take responsibility
Yeah,
for
let's get
his
into that.
painting.
Let's get into that because we spoke about that on a live stream. So if you go to Sammy the Bull's website, there's a section on his website. There's photos of charcoal drawings. They're prints of original drawings. Al
Mhm.
Capone, Sophia Loren, whoever else is on there. I don't recall. These are apparently charcoal drawings created by Sammy the Bull Gravano. He makes prints
Right.
of them and he signs his name on them. Did Sammy draw these pictures, Frank?
No, I not when I was in there anyway. Now that you learn over the years, I can't say. No, I listen. I got one from Paul, and I sent it to. I get everybody. Yeah, he does a good job. He really does. And I got one for a friend of mine, and I sent it to her years ago. And no, he was. Oh yeah, no, I didn't know Sammy had this hidden talent.
Yeah, yeah, he's very talented.
You're very talented. But think about it. If they get together and they say, hey, look, man, just say you did it and we can make money on it, why not?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
You know? Um, he used to get a lot of fan mail, okay? He ends up getting a girlfriend from his fan mail, Paul does. And she she used to come visit him, fucking crazy chick. He like, and he talk about, yeah, she worries me sometimes. I don't hear about her. I think she might be fucking around with drugs or whatever. I said, okay. One time she was missing for like 6 days. He was sick. I go, what's wrong, Paul? Ah, it's fucking girl and whatever. And, you know, and she ended up calling him and he felt better, but they ended up not communicating anymore. Like any kind of fight. I mean, how fucking a relationship go where, a guy's doing life?
Yeah, and what's visiting like for guys like that, or for you
Yeah,
in that case? For
normal visits. They were the same. They were the same. The people used to come in there. They were contact, but they weren't. They were monitored though.
right, right. So no conjugals or any crazy shit like that.
No, 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 no. That's a state thing. That's what happened when he meets this two couple. They were lawyers,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
he was interested in this breed of dog. It was the Preso Canario from Spain. Um, and it kind of really, really went bad. This story really goes bad. So there was this two lawyers. What the heck was the lawyer's name?
Marjorie Fran Knoller and Robert Edward Knoll, two individuals who ultimately became married. Now, the weirdest thing about this, Frank, is they actually legally adopted Cornfed as their son.
Yeah, so they could have group meetings with him. He used to say she was really weird. All he wanted to do was start a business from inside where he would breed these dogs and he would tell them how to do it. But at one point, they ended up bringing these dogs in their house, and they tore apart some woman. I mean, some lady up in San Francisco. They got free and they tore her apart. And it wasn't like the first time these dogs were really kind of like vicious with this lady, and she ended up getting killed, and they ended up going to jail for a long time. They I don't know if they pressed charges on Cornfed, or they tried to. Though it was a state case, and but this lady was weird. The lawyer, she used to like want him to draw pictures of her naked with the dog, and
Yeah,
she
it's
would
so
call.
weird. The picture of these two individuals that I'm painted from something I was reading is like they're like these real like like California kind of like progressive, kind of weird, like we accept everybody type. Those people who are like that to a fault. And yeah, and then they just get involved with Cornfed and they fucking adopt them. It's a really fucking bizarre story.
Yeah, no, it really is. And he said she was really weird. Like one day she wanted to be his girlfriend, the other day she'll be like, "Mom and Dad are here," and he was like, "What the fuck?" But they were. He seen an opportunity to make money with them while he was inside, and for whatever reason he associated himself with them. But apparently, and he did talk about that. They put him in a whole lot of fucking bullshit. He didn't want nothing to happen to this lady, that got killed. I think she was a lacrosse coach or something like that.
Yeah, so the actual attack occurs in San Francisco. And the woman who passes away due to this attack is a woman by the name of Diane Whipple. Um,
Mhm.
a young woman in her 30s, um, who, I mean, there was two of these dogs too, by the way. There wasn't just one, there was two
Yeah,
of
yeah,
them.
yeah, yeah, yeah. There was two. There was two.
Yeah.
They were breeding them at the house instead of
Yeah.
doing it in a fucking right place. I think it was a male and a female.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird,
It
and
was,
I think they're
inside
still
the
in
apartment
prison.
building where she lived. I guess they lived in the same building. She comes home with her groceries from shopping, and she gets mauled by these two dogs. Horrible story.
Yeah, no, really bad. But Paul comes off as one of them guys where his life took a turn. Yeah, he's big. Yeah, he could be scary, but at the same time, he had an intelligence about him where, I told you, he goes in for what, 11 years and ends up never coming out again. Something was missing in his life at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. It's
I had a
it's
family member, a female that still kept in touch with him. I remember that. Um, but apparently, he didn't come back. He didn't come out of a bad family. His family was in a bad, they were pretty good people. And that's what happens. It's just scary.
and corn-fed is what? Because they look at him like a big country boy, something like that,
No,
I guess.
well, he looks like he's corn. Yeah, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah. It looks
But
like a farm boy or something. I mean, he's from Northern California. There is a lot
yeah,
of
he's not.
kind of
No, he's not. Yeah, he's not. He doesn't come off as a farm boy. Like when he talks, he comes off as like a California guy. Somebody who could be talking about surfing and using words like gnarly and shit.
Yeah, yeah. So he just probably fit into a certain look. Yeah, yeah.
The look,
So
yeah, for sure.
what was his who would you say did he have any beefs with anybody or like
No, 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 no. He had my back in a beef one time, and I had gotten into a fight with somebody. I punched the guy. The guy hit me with a lock right in the eye. I didn't fall or nothing like that. Just it got me more pissed actually. But before we could do anything, he had run up the stairs, and the other guy had these two black guys with him, and the correction officers grabbed both of us. But he was ready, and I didn't want him to be. I told him thanks, but no thanks, because I'm gonna come out one day. I told him, but you do something in a situation like that, you're going back to the ADX. So that was that was the only time. But yeah, like I said, people. But he put fear in people when he just him showing up. Had the other guys come up and say, "Look, we don't have no beef. We just wanted to know if it was a fair one. Fair one. Yeah, nah, you guys were looking for a beef. Kind of like eh, made it. He made his presence known. Like if he gets fucked, I'm here. You
yeah.
know. So that was good. Yeah, but I was cool with him. He was a nice guy, really nice. So look, when I mean nice guy, I know you guys are all saying, "Oh, Frank thinks all these criminals are nice guys." I seen him outside of that realm. I didn't commit crimes with him. I was in jail with him.
Mhm.
And it seemed
Mhm.
like there's guys that I could actually tell you, if they go back out, they're going to be doing the same thing. And then I know guys that probably had a wrong turn in life.
Yeah, a guy like that, I mean, there's no real place for him other than prison, right?
Um, I don't know what his trigger is. In prison, he was very very model citizen. Like I said, he was friendly with everybody. But when he was part of an organization or nothing, he knew how to turn it up. Now, who knew what his triggers were? I didn't ever seen him do drugs. He didn't drink in there either, which was a you could see that if somebody was drinking, it was pretty transparent. But he didn't do that either. So I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. There's people that you ask me if they're going to go out, or they're going to get into the same kind of things. I don't know. When it comes to him, who knows what his trigger is? But if it's just the way, if he could stay away from any vices, I'd say he'd be okay.
Yeah, and there's a video that Sammy does where he says that him and Cornfed get into some words with some guy, right? Actually, it was
Uh-huh.
Cornfed to begin with. Cornfed had some words with some guy over something, and maybe it had to do with he didn't like that him and Sammy were playing or kind of talking together. I don't know, whatever it was, but Sammy comes in. He says, "Why don't you come down, meet me in the yard the next day? We'll see what's gonna happen." This and that. Sammy's saying this.
Right.
So according to Sammy, him and Cornfed come together. Cornfed tells him, "Listen, Sammy, we're gonna have to kill this guy. It's got to be done. This and that." Sammy battles with it in his head, and then he decides, you know what, Bo, I'm probably never getting out of here. Yeah, well, let's do this. Let's fucking kill this guy right now.
Right.
Apparently, before it happens, I guess the guy requests for some sort of switch because he says, "Listen, whatever. I think this cornfed guy really has it out for me. He's dangerous. You got to
Yeah.
get me out of here." Does that sound like? Do you recall that situation? Do you ever hear that story that Sammy was
No,
going
I
to
think
whack
I
this
think
guy?
that probably took place in the ADX, because Paul
Oh, you know
didn't.
what? It might have been. It might have been. I think it was. Yeah.
Yeah, because Paul was the type that he was okay where we were at. It was a good place. He could get his head together, and he wasn't. I'm telling you, he was in trouble at all. Nobody messed with him. I mean, I believe that story might have been somewhere where they were locked up, like in a segregation kind of situation, and then they hit the yard together. That's what it sounds like. But in nobody's gonna really mouth off to Paul's. Not the guy you mouth off to. Paul's the guy, if you really feel threatened by him, you're gonna sneak him. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's gonna be, and you better get it right. Where you gotta hit him in the parts of his body real quick, or it's got to be like a 4-on-1. But Yeah, you're not going to mouth off to him because he's been there already. He's killed inmates already. He's stabbed inmates, stabbed in the
Yeah.
CO. I mean, you want he's gonna retaliate. I'm saying forget about his size and all that. That doesn't even his mental capacity just to fucking go that route with somebody. You know that's the scary part. It's not. I mean, I've seen guys in jail that are 6'6", but they're harmless. You know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Is he one of the inspirations for Sammy? Like, he got super tatted up. He got that Odin tattoo. Is that kind of where?
No, it's his ways of sticking his finger at fucking, the Gambino family and saying, I'm in a bigger place now. These are real guys, not you guys, and they're my friends. That
Yeah,
that's that's just his way.
yeah,
I think he got an Odin tattoo.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah, and he says they said it's okay. I mean, who, buddy, who? Another cooperator,
yeah,
right? Whatever.
yeah. And for the
Uh,
record, I mean, Cornfed cooperated to get out of ADX. It wasn't like, oh, we're cutting you a deal to. It was just to get to a better prison. It wasn't,
it goes to show how shitty ADX must be,
right, right, right. It wasn't like, yeah, we'll let you out of here.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. But that's how that those places are, man. Those places. I even though I kind of I was in these units. They were very stressful. I talk about this, because not so much about what's in there, but the people. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Yeah, yeah.
You try to
Of
get
course.
at it something, and then you run into two ex fucking wise guys, and they're trying to tell you that they're still made. It's fucking just what it's boggling. It's mind boggling.
Did you have any conversations with Cornfed about like Italian organized crime or anything that you were into, like for the reason you were there? Did he have anything to say
No,
on that?
no. Matter of fact, he would open up about his stuff more about than any kind of Italian stuff, like being in Pelican Bay or being in these California prison systems and the way these things used to go down. It was crazy. I think he felt better at what he at the place. I think whoever handled him early, like in the prison systems and everything, he had the bad luck of meeting into the people he did because you could
Yeah, yeah.
tell that he was kind of groomed into being the person he was. But he became he had a dark side. You could tell. Even though he was nice, you could tell he could get a dark side in quick.
Yeah. Listen, I mean, it probably speaks to why there isn't that many AB guys. I mean, because like I said earlier, man, I've seen programs online where they interview these inmates who went into prison for a crime that they would have been out maybe 5 or 10 years, but somewhere in their head they decided, no, I think I want to stay here for a while, maybe my whole life. It's a weird fucking direction to go down to, and those are the most dangerous people that you can be around.
He,
I would
he was a
imagine.
jailer. He was
Yeah,
a jailer all the way through. He was polite and everything, but at the same time, he followed protocols that ABs used to do. Like he wouldn't play basketball if there was African American black guys playing. He wouldn't engage in rap if they were playing. But he'd be nice enough to say hello and everything like that. So you could tell at the same time he still was embedded in some kind of like where he hung out with a lot of not the Mexican mafia guys. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. I'm sure. Yeah, I mean that makes sense. They're probably from the same part of the world. They're
California, yeah,
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 exactly.
yeah.
The MA, so he still had that like, yeah, I'm cool with you, but not just let's stay away from each other.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know,
How are Italians viewed to those guys? Like, they just look at you as white or a white other, or like, what is that?
some they liked, some they didn't, some they fear. Like I was in with a couple. It was another guy that was pretty tough in jail. Was Mikey? Mikey, I mean, he's another big guy.
Uh-huh.
He kind of didn't get along with them. He didn't, and they try to be nice. He tried to be nice. He wouldn't sit with them, or he just felt that they were different from him, you know. But he Mikey's a, a different bird. A friend of mine, by the way, a good guy, good guy. I like him. But a fight, he throw down in a second. But he didn't really get along. He just felt that they were below him.
Yeah, I mean, listen, whether we're the same color or not, I mean, a Italian kid or Irish kid or whatever, and from Brooklyn is a different race of human being than a Northern California white boy who's in the
Yeah.
Aryan Brotherhood. It's just like it's a totally different type of thing. So I could see how you could just look at someone like that, like, nah, we ain't the same at all, buddy.
No, no, and he's gotten into it with like a couple of guys from the tentacles of that those groups. Um, and I remember him like saying "fuck them," and whatever,
Yeah.
especially when you're in that situation. But Mike kept to himself too, and he didn't like to. It was like kind of what Cornfed was doing with other groups. Mike would be doing with them.
Okay. Yeah. Mm.
But hopefully we could get him on one day. But I'll talk to him again.
Yeah, you
Um,
mentioned that, that would be cool. Obviously, no pressure to anybody, but we're here for sure.
sure. And Mikey's group and his friends, not to get off topic, but the Beth Avenue kids,
Yep.
they got into it with the Bay Parkway kids a lot, and that was obviously my cousin Dino
Uh-huh.
and his cousin Dino, because one is my cousin, one is not, and they got into it a lot. So we're gonna be covering that. I'll be covering my cousin Dino eventually as well, and so Mike has a lot of insight in that in those situations, those fights, and we'll get it from him. We get my side of my family, whatever, and we'll work on that one too.
Yeah,
But
Dino will be that'll be its own episode. Will be a short clip like these. We'll do a full one on him and
sure,
some other characters. I hope you guys listen. I hope you guys are enjoying the podcast so far. It seems like many of you are. I've been loving it so far. I love these shorter clips that we put out too. They're so cool. I think a lot of people appreciate them. They're
Mhm.
25 minutes, a half hour, a nice quick little listen. Infamous people you've known, been around.
Right, yeah, 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 and we're gonna have many, many, many more. We're gonna be around for a while. But hey, listen, if you have any questions, I probably forgot some stuff. It's been a while. The last time I seen Cornfed was in 2007. 2007. So it's been a while. Wow, almost 17 years. All right. Yeah. So
Yeah,
you
yeah.
guys have any questions? Yeah. Shoot.
Yeah, and like anyone else that Frank's been talking about, we're always going to touch back to these guys. So
Yeah.
it
Leave
probably
them on
won't
the
be the
comments.
last time. It won't be the last time you hear a corn-fed.
Yeah.
These
No.
people
No.
will appear, disappear, and reappear in whatever stories that we have planned. I'm sure, and yeah, it's been going great. Love it.
Yep. So yeah, like I said, just leave them on the comments. I will do my best to answer them if I could. Obviously I don't know everything, and I don't claim to. So
Yeah.
that was a good one. Thank you, bro. We had a good time.
Thank you, Frank. Everybody, do us a favor. If it's your first time here, give us a like, subscribe. You know what? Leave a comment if you're up for it. Even if it's just like one of those thumbs up, we appreciate it. It helps us out. We're trying to get in the algorithm, dudes. So, and I think we're seeping in. We're seeping in. By next year, I think we'll be maybe one of the tops in the genre. What do you think?
That's what I hear. Though a shout out to Nado. Thanks for the shout out for us.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
are.
No, I'm not joking about that though. I mean, I think
Oh yeah,
that,
yeah,
yeah, I think
yeah,
that
yeah.
if we keep going at this pace, we'll have a great show. People will grow to appreciate even more.
Which follow our number 10. We're gonna do a number 10 pretty soon of 2024, and that's not necessarily what me and both Brett like
Right, right,
in
right.
mob genre, or who the new ones are or the old ones are. We're gonna give without pissing anybody off. We're not gonna go 1 through 10. But we're just gonna get top 10, like,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
not in
No,
that order.
we're not gonna do it. The first, the best goes to.
Yeah,
No, we're just
yeah, yeah,
gonna
yeah. It
we're
just seems like
gonna
people get butt hurt.
give credit where credit's due and just name some people, whether it be 10, 12, whatever it may be.
And listen, if your butt hurt because you're not in the top 10, well, not the top 10, but the 10 list, that's too bad. I mean, I'm sorry about that.
Hey, listen,
That means maybe you're not that good. You
everybody
know?
has their own list. You know, lists will
Yeah.
vary, but this will be our list.
I came up with this idea a year ago, a couple years ago, and and I don't count Nadu's a friend of mine, but it's other people coming out with these top 10 lists, and he's like Michael Jordan, and that fucking guy.
He's stepping up. He's going to take a higher position in the family. So we want to say congratulations to him.
Yeah, he's
Looks
yeah.
like
He
he's stepping up. He's
got a roundabout pass, a bounce pass to the hoop, and he is the boss.
congratulations. All right, everybody. Have a
Idiot.
good one.
All right, bye bye.